is a big week for Oklahoma State. Obviously, the largest homecoming in the country. We're guesstimating 60 to 70,000 people back in town. So it's a really exciting time. It's been a great tradition that's carried on here forever. The most difficult part for me is tickets. Everybody wants tickets, former players, ex-players, pro players. So difficult time, but it's a good problem to have that we have that many people coming back, and we'll have a full house. Perfect time of the day in the afternoon for college football.
Who are some of the players you expect to be back this year?
Well, I'm guessing anybody that has an open week in the NFL will be back. And then we had an alumni week for the last home game, and I think we had 140 or 50 players then. So we've started a nice tradition where players are coming back, and that's a good thing for Oklahoma State football.
What led to you starting the alumni week?
Well, we hadn't really built much tradition here. When I took over and started to pay attention to it, former players and players coming back and alumni weekend and all those things that are crucial in developing a tradition in history, we hadn't really done at Oklahoma State. It was nobody's job. You know, it's one of those things where everybody says it needs to be done, but if you don't put somebody in charge of it, nobody ever takes care of it. And we've had it as secondary to certain people, but now we've got it to where we're handling it in-house for the most part. So I think it's done very well, and the players have appreciated being a part of the program that they put a lot of time and effort into during their years here in school.
I noticed Pittsburgh is open this week, the Steelers, so hopefully concussion or not, maybe Mason.
Yeah, he texted me last night and said that he would be here, so he'll be back.
Talk about Sanders and just what you see as some of his issues and what he's been working on.
Well, the same thing I said last week was the first area for him is to take care of the football. He threw a bad interception, and then he got hit on one interception and had another one tipped. So we want to eliminate those, but the issue is fumbling the ball in the pocket. So we've worked hard, and we'll continue to work hard to take care of that aspect of the game. And as most years, and particularly this year, we can't lose the turnover battle and expect to be successful. So that's the starting point with him, and that's what we've pressed and put into place.
He seems to be very hard on himself too. Is that dealing with his
I think he shows his emotions differently than other people. We're all different in the way we handle things. Mason was hard on himself. Taylor was hard on himself. Their appearance might have been different than him. When he goes back on the field, he's fine. He competes. That's not an issue with him. His appearance and, as the term we use, body language, at times would give that more so. But that aspect he'll work on and change and adjust throughout his career.
Mike, is one of the bigger challenges, especially when you get into league play where teams see you every year, know you so well, with a new quarterback, working to keep it simple, but at the same time working to keep it versatile enough that the other defense can't read you?
It's always that way. We know each other really well. Each year there's you'll see slight differences in schemes based on particularly quarterback play, and then defensively, Baylor's different than they were last year. Based on personnel is my guess. For us, I'm sure it's like everybody else. You want to be good at your base, but you have to have a few things that are a little different each week. That's why it comes down to execution. You have to take care of the football. If you don't take care of the football, you minimize your chances of being successful, and then be good in your base and eliminate big plays. Against Tech, we didn't take care of football and give up big plays. Bad combination.
How beneficial was that open week for you guys health-wise?
It's good for us. You know, guys were fatigued. We've been at it 9 weeks, coaches and players, and they needed a little bit of a break. So we got some quality work done last week, and then we gave them the 4 days off. And they came back last night and had a good practice. And, I think everybody feels good about it. It's a long season, It's a rough game, and those are nice breaks to give everybody a chance to catch their breath.
Is today an off day as well?
Like
Back
always,
in the
yeah.
regular routine?
Yeah, it's difficult to adjust it based on class schedules. Monday is a evening class for a lot of our players, and so for us to try to make that adjustment would not be beneficial for our team academically. So we keep the same schedule, and we adjust it. Last week, we did practice on Monday, but we turned them loose in time to get to their 5:30 classes.
What do you think overall of Baylor, especially after watching that game? Actually, they had two home games that were tied.
They're 6-0, I think, to start with. So obviously, it's not easy to get to 6-0. You're seeing a quarterback I think he's in his third year now. Is that correct? He's matured. He's playing really well. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Defensively, they've got good edge pressure. Guys that are getting up the field and pressing. The nose guard's a big guy that is disruptive in the run game. And they're multiple in the back end. You know, they're 2-hole, 4-hole, 3-1. They're doing some blitzing. So they've matured and you know, they've been good for quite a while down there. You know, they had a couple tough years when all the issues were going on down there, but they've still recruited good. They're in a good location geographically to recruit, and they've had good players there. And I think he does a nice job of coaching them. From what I know, I don't know Matt real well. Just he was on the East Coast, but they do a nice job. And I think the best way to sum it up is they're 6-0. No matter how you get to that point, it's a pretty good accomplishment.
Mike, you've talked about discipline a lot, and the penalties don't seem to be as much of an issue. Are you pleased with the other areas, the focus, the assignments, things like that?
Yeah, compared to last year, we're better. The penalties that frustrated me last year, you guys know, were unsportsmanlike, late hits out of bounds, face mask, what I call non-combative penalties. Sometimes you're going to get pass interference calls, being physical. Sometimes you're going to get a quarterback where if you tackle him a little bit late, they throw a flag, but you're competitive. We've eliminated, up to this point, non-combative 15-yard penalties. That's the discipline, okay? The second part of that is ball security and coverage on defense, which we had a couple letdowns at Tech, but for the most of the season, we've been pretty good defensively when you talk about discipline and coverage. So we're making some strides. We got a ways to go, but we're making some strides.
AJ Green had the game winner completed right in front of him to Mims last year down there at Baylor. But obviously he bounced back, made more big plays for you, and it seemed like he's been solid this season. What have you thought of his performance this season, and what does it say about a corner who can bounce back from a tough?
It's difficult to play corner in this league. Defenses are trending a little bit the other way, where they're not being challenged based on schemes as much as they have been over the last 4 to 5, 6 years. But AJ's a good football player, and he has worked really hard this year. He's been a good leader. He practices hard, and he's essentially setting him up for a great year and an NFL career. He's going to play in the NFL. He continues to work hard, keeps his head on his shoulders, stays healthy. He's going to have an NFL career. So he's played well for us. What I'm particularly pleased with him at this point is he practices hard and he never says anything. And he's bought into the program, and he's been a good leader for us. That's why he's been a captain several times.
How much discussion has there been, and I know Jim Knowles mentioned it after the Tech game, got to find some way to get more pressure on the quarterback. Maybe you get some guys back. That helps a little bit, but Sure. What do you think?
I think that's always an issue as teams transition to more of a 3-down look. It is difficult at times to get pressure on the quarterback. And then the other thing that happens is when you're working too hard to get pressure, then you're creating gaps for quarterbacks to run. You watch quarterbacks in this league, and how many times have guys stepped up in the pocket and run for 6, 8, 10 yards on first down or even third down. So there's the issue you face when you're in more of what people are playing now, which is a 3-down look. And so I think that we have to be creative in trying to find ways to get pressure on a quarterback, but then you also have to find ways to cut those gaps down, because the guys in this league are really good at sliding through there and picking up yardage.
What is Dylan Galloway's injury a long-term thing? Is that
He's back. He was back out there with us practicing last night, and depending on how he progresses, hopefully we can get him back this week.
Has that been a tough thing, especially with a couple of the young guys on the offensive line being moved around, playing something?
Anytime you lose a left tackle, it can make a difference what what experience you have. It's not easy. It happens. Injuries are part of the game. But when you start shuffling around those 5 guys, I'm not a big fan of that. You guys that have tracked me for all these years, if we didn't have injuries, very seldom did we ever move those guys. Even in years we struggled, we still said if we don't keep them in the same spots, it's not easy to get better. So we've played a little bit of musical chair based on what we think is best. But the other guys are also getting some experience, and they're getting a little better. So they should get a little better each week. But when he gets up and running, it'll certainly help us when he's back.
How's that unit been responding to the stuff when you playing?
They just got to do what they're told. They understand, they get it. We have to try to put the best 5 on the field based on our opponent, where we think that our strengths are, maybe in their weaknesses, and where we need to attack them. And then maturity plays a role. And then you can never bypass the importance of the snap. That's so important. It was interesting. Last night, when I got home, I saw a few plays of the whatever game that was, the Steelers game, and that center Pouncey has been in the league forever, right? And he was struggling with snaps, and I thought, God, it's crazy, but it's not as easy as what people think, and so you always have to take that into account, as well as what positions they can play.
How much has that changed, just from, like, say, when you were? I'm sure you did a little bit of shotgun when you were playing.
Very little.
Yeah, but
I mean 5 times a game maybe.
You guys, Johnny, and when Rye was in there, I can't think of a bad snap this season.
We have been fortunate. They've done a good job. You can go back for a number of years with us, and we've been fortunate with those guys. They'll move around some. It's hard, you got a guy lined up on you, or you got to reach a gap player, and you're trying to snap the ball and step at the same time, and it's not normal. It's unusual. So we have been fortunate with those guys to in games that they've done a nice job.
You've done it some other teams have too. Football's a secular type sport. Do you ever see the snap under center, the quarterback under center, coming back to a great degree? It doesn't look like it.
We're seeing a transition in offenses in this league. We've seen a transition in defenses in the last 2 to 3 years, a big transition. Offenses are kind of turning the other way. So I'm going to, I don't know, maybe somebody will do it, but there's so many advantages with the quarterback starting 5 yards deeper than being under a center. One being it allows a 6-foot quarterback to be a better player because his vision is much greater with the depth than he would be from under the center. So if I had to answer, I would say no. I don't see that coming back anytime soon.
You guys haven't always had the depth up front that you guys have now. You don't like playing musical chairs, but is it nice that you have those guys available?
Yeah, 78 obviously was new this year. 77 was brand new. So and they're playing okay. I mean, it's not like that they're a big issue. They just didn't have the experience, but they're getting a little bit better. So when Galloway comes back, we'll have some guys there to rotate through if a guy gets bummed up a little bit. Good? All right.